Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program has once been described as the old young man. He's probably one of the most controversial politicians of the Second Republic. Honorable C.D.H. Ali, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So tell me something about your early beginnings. How did it start for you?
Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by early beginning.
You were born in Kano, where you know.
Yes, I was born in Kano.
Yes, and while you were growing up in
Kano,
Kano.
during the Second World War, my father happened to be one of the big cattle dealers supplying the British soldiers. And because the commandant of the military in West Africa, Frontier Force, was based in Accra, Ghana, this center. So it was there they got their payment, and so he went there and we followed him. So we started, but I didn't go because I started school here.
You didn't rear cattle, did you?
No.
Why not?
Because we are not Fulani. He only buys and sells to, he's like a contractor. So that's how we went. When we went to Ghana, when the movement for freedom and so on was, a lot of us went side and supported Kwame Nkrumah because we saw him as the weapon against the foreign rule. That's how we came. We got there until Ghana's independence. After I left Kano after middle school, until Ghana's independence in 1957. By that time, I became, I don't know whether you call it the radical student leaders, and was recognized by Kwame Nkrumah. So when we were expelled from...
As a radical student leader?
So a lot of us were expelled from government secondary schools. And then that's why he set up a secondary school called Ghana College, based in Cape Coast. I didn't go, I got involved in this thing. So after independence, I was very close to him, very close. I was used to go to, So with the usual, I don't know what you call it, pretension. One day I was sitting with Nkrumah. One minister came in. He started saying, he said, God, thank God. Nkrumah asked him, what happened? He said, he was having stomach ache, but when he saw him, the thing vanished. Do
you recall who that minister is?
I recall, but I won't mention his name. Although he's dead. Nkrumah was so excited. That is the idea why the name Osagyefo. Osagyefo means the savior. But as a Muslim, I know it was a lie. So I objected. I said, sorry, I'm not telling you the truth. That was one. The second one, there is a town called Eburi. Eburi was hill town. You go, but it was a very famous town. In fact, that's why the Ojukwu and Nigerian forces met, In
Aburi?
In Aburi. That Aburi, so many cars get accident. Like in Nigeria, you talk of Mambila. When you lose control, that's the end of you. So one driver lost control. He has 21 passengers in the car. By the time he fell, 20 died. And retaining one person.
Who was that person?
I don't know, but he's one of the village. He didn't die. So people say, this is an opportunity. Let's take him to Nkrumah. When you go, you tell Nkrumah. When you are falling, you didn't know what to do. You started mentioning Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah. Then one hand came and removed you. Nkrumah instructed that he will be taken to all capitals of Ghana to show the man that is Mino Osagyefo. So this type of argument, there was a Kulungugu accident in which a bomb was thrown. Nkrumah was saved. So he got angry when I told him what was being said was not true. Yes, because you are not well educated. I'll send you to go educate. That's how I was sent to Britain.
That is the story
Yes.
of how Nkrumah
Yes.
sent you
To Britain.
To
But
study journalism?
No, send me to get education, get university degree. But I couldn't get university because I didn't have PM, what do you call it, A-level certificate. I didn't even finish the secondary.
Did you even have O-levels?
Yes, so that was not possible. It was then he spoke to his colleague in New York. So I went to America.
The standard was lower.
Yes, not lower. They have special school. They call it equivalency. They train people call for equivalency diplomat. You get the same thing, but it's not normal secondary school. It's all ages. That's why I got my A level, to allow me to enter university. But while we were there, we were so involved in student activities.
How much did education open your eyes?
Well, I don't answer this question.
I mean, you did not have any education at
Before.
all. Yeah.
No, I had up to 4 years, but without passing.
Not higher education.
Not higher education.
Okay.
But that opened me and I got involved. I was elected political advisor to Pan-African Student Union. Then it was headed by a Nigerian called Sylvester Okereke. Okereke was the president and I was advisor, and somebody from Zimbabwe was the general secretary. So when the OA was being founded, a delegation had to go. I was in that delegation. 1963. We had freedom. We spoke to all the heads of state, pleading with them, For the meantime, Dr. Fidel Castro has become eyesore to America. There was nothing America did not do to overthrow his government or to assassinate him. Assassination is part of American policy, like they did Lumumba and so on. So during those days, we were demonstrating and so on, and I was noted. I was noted by the American because at that time, they can implicate you on so many cases. In fact, the last time I left America, I was declared persona non grata. I was banned from entering America.
Why?
Because of my political activities. But when I became member of the House of Reps, as an elected member of the National Assembly, that lift was lifted. That's how I went to America. In fact, the day attempt was made to assassinate Reagan, I was at the spot. I went to buy books. But the way I saw the situation, I ran away. I went back to the embassy. It was in the embassy we got information that Reagan attempt has been done to assassinate President Reagan.
How grateful were you? Let's even go back to Kwame Nkrumah, when you came back after studying.
It's not only me. Kwame Nkrumah, unfortunately, was misunderstood. Or not misunderstood because the typical African leader, he want to rule and so on. When Nkrumah was in power, the mayor of Accra, Cecil Ford, was a Sierra Leonean. The two chief advisors to Nkrumah were L.G. Okoko of Nigeria and Dr. from Kenya. Practically, African, in fact, Ghana student in U.S., almost 50% of them are
So what role did you come to play in Nkrumah's government?
No, I came back. Unfortunately, when I was in America, the coup took place.
Oh.
But when I came back, although they gave me a job as a manager of a bank, I was detained for 18 months. That is the time when I knew Nigeria was working. Our embassies were working. The Nigerian ambassador to Ghana, Adegoroye, I don't know whether he's alive or not, he made Ghana Minister of Justice almost his permanent home because a Nigerian was in detention without reason. That's how the government of Nigeria released me. But today, if you are detained, nobody even knows you are there. The ambassador was going to the foreign minister almost every day. Said, the citizen of my country is in detention.
How did you feel when you heard of Kuruumas' death?
Well, you see, my relationship with Nkrumah is beyond anything. But by the time we did, what I was happy is to refer to a statement made by that famous Kenyan historian, what do you call him? Professor, yes,
Ali Mazuri?
Ali Mazuri. Ali Mazuri said he heard of Nkrumah's death after he came out of a hotel in Washington, being told by a Romanian ambassador to the United States that Nkrumah has died in Bulgaria. So that's why he made that famous statement. Now the whole world is a village. 5 nations of the world acted, When I felt Nkrumah, what I felt of Nkrumah's death was sorry for Africa. Because when Nkrumah was alive, his major job, major intention was that Africa must unite. But this one was misinterpreted that he wanted to be the head of Africa, he wanted to be this, he wanted to be this. That's why when the conference of United Africa, they forced it to go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia was not an example for Africa. There's nowhere in Africa where poverty was a symbol. The king lived like God. Haile Selassie. But they forcefully take it there. The attempt was to spend Nkrumah.
Anyway, but where could they have taken it to?
Well,
Would they have taken it to
if they
Nigeria?
could have gone to Accra, Ghana. He was the founder. He was the one who organized the first All-African People Conference in 1958, in which he brought Tom Mboya to be chairman of the conference.
Can I ask you, what do you think would have happened to Africa if Nkrumah lived longer?
It would have been greatest. We have been equal to foreign countries, for America and others. We definitely would have been.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Well, but there were followers like Nnamdi Azikiwe of Africa
No,
and the rest
now
of them.
Azikiwe,
So why didn't they follow in his steps?
No. When you say Azikiwe, like you said, the Azikiwe we knew was Azikiwe of Africa. In fact, Azikiwe started politics in Ghana in 1937, before I was born. Azikiwe was technically deported back to Nigeria because the British found that the man was causing trouble for them. So Azikiwe, in fact, it was Azikiwe, if you read Nkrumah's biography, Ghana, which was published in 1957, he said it was Azikiwe who gave him £100. It is that £100 that afforded him to pay for ship. He went to America by ship with a letter of introduction from Dr. Azikiwe to the president of Lincoln University. When you say president in America, it means vice chancellor. It was so Nkrumah has never stopped honoring Azikiwe as he's the greatest mentor.
What about you?
Me, my mentor is Azikiwe. It's Nkrumah.
Now, when you left Ghana, you came to Nigeria, didn't you not?
Yes.
When you joined politics immediately?
No, I didn't leave Ghana in politics. I left Ghana after my fame, my involvement in politics in America and so on and so forth has been known. The late MD Yusuf, who was the head of special branch.
What are you talking about? Your fame? Are you sure? Is it popularity or
popularity,
notoriety?
I mean, in politics, whatever it is, the Nigerian government got that information.
And they asked for you to come
asked
back.
for me. Ahmed Joda was then the permanent secretary, and I was brought to Nigeria to work to help Nigeria in its war in this thing.
What was Nigeria like at that
They
time?
were fighting. It was Biafran war was going on.
So on what side were you?
Of course, I was in the federal side. But not only on federal side, I was an information officer technically attached to Shua, General Shua, who was then the commander of this thing. And later, when the war reached certain level, federal government created an organization called Institute of Institute of International Press Center, and was headed by late Atta, Atta, the famous what was the name? The manager, who was the editor of Drum magazine.
Nelson Otta, yes, Nelson.
So I was his deputy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Our job is to sell Nigeria outside the civil service.
But was that your first attempt at journalism?
No. I've been writing even in America. My first book, I wrote a trip to Timbuktu. I wrote it in 1964 while I was still a student in America. And that book was accepted by the American to train the what do you call them, Peace Corps, which is our NYSC. That was a book we are showing them the famous Timbuktu University, what an African has done, and so on. And the black American particularly really enjoy it. So that was what did, and from there I got into this thing.
So after Drum magazine, where did you move to?
No, we are working for the federal government. But because of the bureaucracy in the civil service, late Slay Katagun was the chairman of the Federal Public Service Commission. Late famous doctor from Lagos, who was the medical director in Fafunwa. This Fafunwa was something, but a very famous doctor. These members, despite military in power, they refused to bend. So I couldn't get into civil service. But the government needed me in civil service, at least in the information sector. So I was employed, sent, but then posted to Minister of Information. And Ohoru was our minister. And gave me opportunity. Most of the travel Ohoru did, we went with him.
So how long did you work for government?
I worked for government until, what year is that? It's something I can't do, but I worked for government. But after I left, the Kano State created office they call Kano Liaison Office. At that time, it was only Kano State that had liaison office in Lagos.
Am I right to think that you're one of those that developed the civil service in Nigeria?
No, I don't think I developed the civil service, but I work in the civil service. Because one of the reasons why the even government asked me to resign was when I wrote an article. That time, Sule Katagun was the chairman of the Public Service Commission. And they were talking of state creation. And I was arguing that Katagun should be ceded to Kano State, because Katagun was almost part of the Kano State. And unfortunately, or fortunately, the most famous emir in Kano, Muhammad Sinusi, when he was deposed, he moved to Katagun. All the emirs in the north refused to accept him because he was so powerful in the wind. But the emir of Katagun said he should come to Katagun. So when I wrote that article, it offended so many people in high places that I should leave civil service. My permanent secretary was Tatar Ali. When they told him that they want me out of civil service, he said he would not communicate to me. So he called me, he said, Sule Katagun want to see me. The chairman of the Public Service Commission want to see me. I looked at him, I was so almost in the middle. I didn't even reach the level of a director. Much more think of being permanent secretary, but here am I, the head of civil service, want to talk to me. So I said, maybe they want to make me a permanent secretary, but it's not possible. Because they strictly went according to the system in the British type. It's not easy. So I went to him.
Not like today.
No. So I went to his office. The time I was ushered in. And he said he got a request from the federal government that I was writing some articles which are offensive. I should be dismissed from civil service. But he felt if I'm dismissed in civil service, I have no future. Because whenever I go to any job, he would be grateful if I would put a letter of resignation. So I wrote a letter of resignation. I took it to Mr. Sam Epele, who wasn't Director of Information. And he sent it to the.
So, did you start politics in Kano?
Well, yes, technically, yes. Technically, yes. In fact, because of my writings. One of the interesting things is when election was being conducted, I had written an offensive article which led to my arrest and detention. I was in prison.
You take pride in being arrested and
I'm
detained?
not being proud, but when you wrote something, your conscience, and this is how they will answer instead of talking to you, what else can you do? I was vibrant, I want to express my this thing, but the military government was not prepared to accept this. So I was arrested, I was sent to detention, I was in detention, I was not charged and so on.
What are you like? Are you like Balarabe Musa or?
Well, not exactly
How
like
would you
Balarabe, I would say rather like Bala Usman. So when I was in detention for 6 months, nobody was mentioning. So each time a prisoner is going out, they are told that because the people in detention were given good food, were given milk and so on, that time they treat you like, So they normally prisoners going, they will come and tell you if you have message outside to smuggle it out. Some of them are convicted thieves, but that's the only avenue. So I sent a message to a minister. From then, not east. Say no, this man is a troublemaker. He's always fighting the government. I don't want to have anything with him. Until somebody came and took message from me to Dr. Olusola Saraki. At that time, they have an organization in Lagos called People's Parliament. All the permanent secretaries in the north and so are in members of that group. So when the man went to him and said, this man Sidi Ali, who is in prison, he wants to help and so on. I said, yes, I know they arrested him some 6 months ago during this Tarka Dabo case. Is he still in prison? He said, no. So he sent for Sunday Adewusi. Adewusi was Deputy Inspector General of Police. So Adewusi came. He said, look, this man Sidi Ali is my friend. I want you to help him. Adewusi told him that his detention did not come from police. The order came from the Chief of Staff to the President, Major General Eko. It is not an easy issue. Those brought by the army, but I will try. So I was in prison. Then one day, information came, I'm wanted. About 4 cars, armed police. So maybe they were going to execute me. So we went with siren to the police headquarters. And they also started to abuse me. You people want to cause trouble in this country, we deal with you, blah, 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 blah. And after they left the office, he said it was Saraki says I should help you. So when you come out, fall down, we'll rush you to the hospital. Why? This is what happened. So when we came, I fell down, I was rushed to the hospital. And the doctor in charge, Creek Hospital, it was Dr. Bimbo Abiola. What is this? Akintola, his daughter. And surprisingly, Akintola people were so close to the north. So when she was brought up, I was brought to the place. I was taken to, but the special band, or SS as we call them today, sent about 10 to prevent anybody talking with me or this thing. And at that time, the military government would strictly respect professionalism. Once a doctor says you must eat 1 cow a day, they will supply that cow no matter. So after some time, she said they have investigated my sickness. My sickness seemed to be psychological. When I see men in uniform, it comes back. That's how the government withdrew the police and SS guarding me.
How did you feel then?
Oh, of course, I'm happy because to be in prison or detention is the worst thing any human.
Can you recall how many times you've been in prison?
I think about 6 times.
6 times.
Yes, but some 3-4 days. But the one I was telling you this, and the one about the starting of politics. When MP went to Kano, they were attacked. Their cars were burnt and so on. But then they say it was me who organized it. Unfortunately, I was in Kaduna. That's why I was arrested and taken to prison. And the instruction at that time is that nobody should have contact with me. But interestingly, one head of service, late Alhaji Isa Dutse, whose son is now the permanent secretary Ministry of Finance, said, no, he visit. So he visited me. After the governor Outbago has called him that they have orders from the federal government, he said, well, he didn't go there officially as head of service. He went as a personal listener. That's why I still respect this family. So that's what it is. So this is the situation.
Let's even talk about when you engaged fully in politics.
What do I'm saying?
Yes, well,
I was in prison.
Did you meet a certain gentleman called Malam Aminu Kano?
What do I'm telling you? I was in prison when Abubakar Rimi and later one came. That I have a message from Malam Aminu Kano that people are being fielded to contest election. And I'm fielded. I'm one of the candidates of PRP. This is how I got nominated. And of course, that led me my release from prison. I contested in a town where I did not come from, because that time nobody said you know. And I defeated the sitting district head. His elder brother was a commissioner in Kano, and he was, and I defeated him. Because PRP was so popular to the downtrodden.
Why was it that popular?
Well, because the leadership shown by Malam Aminu Kano. Malam Aminu Kano, even the house he was living, he lived before he died, was not a house government gave him. Government allocated plot for him in Nasarawa. That is the VIP area. Malam said, how could I leave my people and live in Nasarawa, where people are even afraid to go? The only white men live there. That's why Amin and Tata collected that plot and built him a house in Gomaja. At that time, Gomaja was almost outskirts of the town. That's how Malam Aminu got there.
So you were a disciple of...
Very, very much. Very, very. In fact, one of my sons is Aminu.
And obviously you like the philosophy of the PRP at
of
that
course.
time.
Why
What was it about?
It's a philosophy that you should recognize the dignity of man. We started fighting against traditional rulership. You see, when you talk of traditional rulership, what we see today is not what we see. In Kano, or in most of the northern states, an emir, when an emir, or not even an emir, the power going to visit the town, the district head has to get allocation. Sometimes a married man, newly married, ask him to move out. The district was going to stay in the house and stay with his wife, no matter how many days he wants before he goes. So some of these abuses were resisted. And Badu, Malam Aminu Kano was not the first popular man, anti-exercise from Kano. In 1896, in 1892. Kano was the first emirate that installed an emir without reference to Sokoto, because the emirs in the north were appointed and installed.
But who dismissed them then?
The emir, the Sultan of Sokoto.
The Sultan.
Yes, he's the one who you go there to me, and then he will not. He was so even too low for him. He will send the Waziri of Sokoto to go and taban them.
But the immediate past Emir of Kano was dismissed by the governor.
Well, because the system has we reach a level, the constitution. In fact, when one of the constitution committee, I don't remember, was made, Dr. Dati Ahmed is a practicing medical officer, and my classmate, and I were the one who went to the commission to insist governors should not be given power over emirs. Or even if they will give power, the state governors should decide the fate of each emir on the Sokoto Caliphate. Sokoto Caliphate has Katsina, Kano, they have 13 emirs. So we felt this emir should not be left to the will of one man to decide their fate. Even if an emir misbehaves, these governors from the 13 states should meet and then decide, because they are all under Sokoto Emirate. But unfortunately, we didn't succeed. First, the Kano State government prevented us even from going. Luckily, the governor at that time was from Niger Delta, Colonel Onea. So when he was informed that I was arrested because I want to appear before the commission, he called the SS and ordered my release immediately. So we went to Kaduna. Their sitting in Kano has finished. So we followed them to Kaduna and made the presentation that we think to allow an emir on the will of a governor will kill that fame an emirs have.
So when these recent events happened, what did you think?
Well, when you live in a society, let me give you an example. Sanusi was not the first head to the post. Obafemi Awolowo started it when he deposed the Alaafin Oyo and sent him to Osogbo, where he died. The father of the present Alaafin. And then the Olowo of Owo was also deposed by Awolowo. In fact, one of the most interesting, when I was paying tribute to Ismail Isa yesterday, one of the quotations I did was a talk I had with him when Olumilua, governor of Old Ondo State, restored Olabeji back to power after 25 years deposition. And I wrote it in the Democrat. He said, why are you interested? I said, no, it has never happened. He said, no, the reason is, this Ismail Isa. He said, the reason is in the culture of Ondo. If an Oba does not die on the throne, his forebearers cannot inherit that throne. So Olumilua, being an evangelist and a man of God, decided the one imposed by Awolowo died after 24 years, and this man is alive. He must be back at how many days? And that's what opened the way for his son to become the next Olowo of Owo. And I think the present one too is from the same family.
I'm interested in your days in the Second Republic as a politician. How would you assess your input in those days?
Well, if I'm sending my input, I would say, and I believe I was the best.
The best what?
The best legislator.
Why would you say that?
Because I work for the people. I knew many committees I'm a member. When somebody brings a report, like he's been this, and I want to take it up, some of them went beyond and collect money, and they nullify it. One of the incidents I have was I was traveling to Britain in the Nigerian Airways. A man walked to me and greeted me. After I greeted him, he said, "How many days are you going to do in London?" I said, "Why do you ask me? Where are you from?" He said, "Sir, in 1981, I was one of the staff of Nigerian Airways who demonstrated when you were sacked. You took up that matter and you were returned. I was posted as manager in London. So please, this is an opportunity for me to host you." Originally, I planned to do in 5 days. I said, "I'm going to spend 10 days. She said, no, I will do it." So he booked a hotel for me, White House Hotel, and I stayed there for 10 days at his expense. I didn't spend one kobo because of what I did. I knew how much legislators compromise their oaths of office.
And you never compromised?
No, I refused. Because
Did you sponsor any bills?
I spent about 3 bills, but none of them went through.
What were these bills about?
I can't remember easily, but I know we had opposition. For example, let me tell you. I brought, if you read the Nigerian Accountant Association, when they came and complained to us that ICANN is the only body of accounting. But in Britain, Ireland alone, there are 9 bodies of accounts. But each time they want to kill one, the ICANN will kill it. And then showed me a list. The 13 chairmen of ICANN, they are all Yorubas. Not knowing that only the names are Yoruba. Some of them are from Edo. They bear names like, there's a lot of names. They are not, but that one convinced us, how could one particular tribe before then, ICANN was passing only 5 people in a year to become an accountant. It's like a cult. That our bill we brought to recognize it led to 10 people, and now, and even when we fought, MK Abiola came to my house as an ICANN man. When he came, I wasn't in the house, they called me, said that Abiola chief is there. He was brought by one member from River State who was an accountant. And of course, when Abiola came, he's coming with a heavy this thing. I said, I won't see him. Because we have already made our mind, a rival body you cannot be the regulator and become a part of it. That's how ICANN came, and in the last conference of ICANN, I was singularly noted as someone, because even the bill, interestingly, it overpassed. Buhari came to power. They never referred to bill. One Babangida, we took it. It was Babangida who signed it. Even though I was not in the Legislator, but I pursued it with them. The last day Babangida left Durham Barracks to go to Mina, that day he signed the act.
Can I ask you, when you were in the PRP, did you have to pay money to the party to be nominated as a senator?
I'm telling you, I was in prison when I was nominated. In fact, when we went to campaign, people want to see us because we are nominees of Malabo Kano. It's the people who give us money. And when we are going to some of the lectures, a man will put his gun and collect 30 kobo as guarantee he will bring the money to follow us to go to lecture. We don't have to invite anybody.
So what do you say of politicians today who have to pay as close as 1 billion naira to become governors, something like that?
Well, let me tell you, I don't want to make my view in my book, which is coming on Buhari. I raised the issue of that. In fact, I raised the issue. It's not a matter of speculation. A member of the House of Representatives from Kano called Abdulmumuni Jibril public said at the press conference and was quoted by newspapers that he and the Speaker of the House have stolen 10 billion naira. He said it, not somebody said it, because they were fighting. So it's not comparable. One, we have a weak society. That's a chairman of the House of National House of Representatives. I think one of the not present one. His wife came from Argungu, and she wanted to set up this hair, what do you call it? Hair, 25 million naira was set her in the budget to do in that place, in the name of government. But after you got it, it was allocated to her. So you cannot compare. When we were in the National Assembly, our salary was 1,000 naira a month, of which 200 naira are taken for the car, so we have 800 naira. Then the tax. These tax go to Lagos State government. It was me and some others, and one Okongo from now Imo State, sponsored a bill that this tax we are collecting should not go to Lagos State government.
Where should it go to?
To the state that brought you, because you are working for your state. Those from Sokoto, those from Ekiti, those tax should go to them instead of taking and block all the tax collected and given to Lagos.
So in your days, you were collecting 1,000 naira as salary.
Yes.
Today, how do you feel about the salary of legislators?
We are not even talking of the salary of legislators. It's something Nigerians ignore. They allocate themselves monthly millions of naira, and locally the revenue mobilization has made it clear they did not recommend that amount. But nobody raised the objection. Nobody. Those paying for the money knew that this money, the salary is there, the allowance is there, and secondly, the biggest fraud that is going on, like during our time, we have a senator from Kano who put his wife as chief aide. She never been to Lagos, but she was collecting that money. In last National Assembly, we had a president of Senate who had 358. It's like what happened in one of the states when during Obasanjo administration.
There's so much
Yes.
fraud going on.
Why not? When the Obasanjo administration wanted to stop one governor from getting the PDP ticket.
Do you feel sorry for Buhari, President Buhari, or do you think he's not doing enough?
Buhari is doing more than enough. Because, I don't know, are you from Yoruba area?
I'm Nigerian.
No, I want to know because there is...
I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
I refuse to be,
Right.
sectioned.
But we find out in the Yoruba area, there is something they call gomo gomo. You know what gomo gomo is?
Yes.
This kidnapper we call.
Yes.
But their own kidnapping, they do not kill you. They take you to the shrine and they invoke something and you will be money.
Backing, like.
No, you bring him money.
Okay.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So everybody who has, not only Yorubas, anybody who has lived in Lagos area is afraid of gomo gomo.
Did you experience it?
No, I wasn't this, but he's afraid of gomo gomo.
Okay.
This, I don't know whether they still exist. But at that time, if you are frightened with gomo gomo, you run. It's like when you said in 1956, the famous Muslim leader Apalara, I don't know what you know about him. Know about Apalara?
No.
Apalara was a member of the cult. Then he broke away and became a Muslim and started to preach against the cult. And they went to his house, said, look, what you are doing, you have left us, go ahead. But we'll deal with you, we'll kill you. So he reported to the British. That time it was British, we did not get independence. It was the British that So the British gave a commissioner of police, who was a white man, gave him protection of about 10 policemen. But he was lecturing. Then that cult called Oro, is it Oro?
Oro.
Oro. Heard him, he was being taken like, have you ever seen the photo, the picture of Jesus Christ going to this? That is how the Apalara was being taken. He held up the gun of the policeman. He went with it. So there was this juju or ritual really behaved. Everybody knew. This was how Apalara died. And to today, his body has not been found. About 10 people or 15 people were tried, were sentenced to death.
What was the lesson from that?
The lesson is that if you come out to face these people, they will warn you, like all this money you are hearing. It wasn't a joke. If I'm from Niger Delta, I will form another militant against our representative. How on the cold period you spent billions of naira for what do you call it? COVID, this thing. And you go to Niger Delta, you feel very sad. You see the situation, you see this thing. And governors, former governors, I don't know whether the present governor, some of the former governors were creating the militancy.
If you were not too tired now, given your age, what would you have done if you were in President Buhari's shoes over the Niger Delta?
Well, it depends if you are working with the right people. A president is not an island by himself. You depend on information. When Buhari first came to office, he said the biggest problem is the lack of information. And the army or police cannot work unless they are armed with the vital information that will let them do. That's the problem we are facing. Buhari, when he came, he didn't know what he was going to, what he was showing was a nullity. In fact, he said he almost resigned when he sees the enormous things that he was going to face. That's the problem.
Well, in spite of all this, you're still kicking flavors.
I don't know whether I'm kicking. I wish I.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. Do you see yourself as still relevant in today's politics?
No, because the people you are going to deal with, the only language they understand is money. Is money. Few people, because of family relation, will give you the respect.
And nobody has brought money to you to keep you quiet.
No, I wish somebody would bring it. Because you see, when we were talking of this tribal, this and Igbo or this and that, I always said the biggest money I had in my life, the biggest up to today.
Yeah, in the form of a bribe or what?
No, I was given a job, I executed and made profit. The profit was worth about 100 million. I have to sell it for 37 million because I've never dreamed of that money. 37 million.
You made 100 million naira profit.
That is the value.
Okay.
But I couldn't get the right connection. I didn't, so I sold it at about 37 million. And out of this settlement, I paid some other people who have helped. It was an Igbo man who caused it. Who made that to me? From Anambra State, who was the Minister of State. Before then, there were 3 Northerners who were ministers in that. There were 2 permanent secretaries, and I pursued this thing for 6 years.
Are you a tribalist? Are you a
That's what I'm
tribalist?
telling you. It was one this Igbo man.
I'm asking, are you a tribalist?
I can be. This is what I'm giving an example.
Why are you pointing at Igbo,
Because
Yoruba,
it was the
or
Igbo man who did that for me. He said, what? You have been following this for 6 years? Then he called the general managing director of MPA. He said, this thing you are talking about, do I have to allocate? He said, yes. You are a minister of state or senior, you have, then he approved it. Not only approved it for me, gave me $2,000 to pay for my hotel. Do you think tomorrow I will go against Igbo? My own people didn't do it. So that's why sometimes when people talk about this thing, I was telling people in 1959, a Hausa man called Umar Altin contested for mayor of Enugu and was elected against Azikwe's candidate. In Ibadan Municipal Council during the days of Adelebu and others, to fight for local government seat is like Senate today. A Nupe man came and defeated Yoruba, People are not looking at this. In 1946, the Emir of Kano, Abdullahi Bayero, the father of Ado Bayero, appointed an Igbo man as a member of the Emirate Council. This is one of the things. So for us, sometimes when we see people referring to tribe and so on and so forth, during the 1956 election, I was sent to work with the Buhari at this, in Oyo. When we visited the Alafin of Oyo, Alafin of Abekuta, the late Onipade, told him, he said, you are doing here. Say, we are coming here to work. Very, very, this thing. Say, why are you based? Say, we are based in Ibadan. He said, Ibadan. Are you coming to fight in Yoruba land? I said, yes. Say, but Ibadan, we don't recognize them. The Oba there is not son of Ududua. At one time, he was a meeting, when he wore the cap, I hid my own. They mentioned one small place. He said to them, that one, I said, sir, we are politicians, we need votes. Ibadan will give us votes, which we've put all these states together, they would not have. So this is the mentality of Nigerians. He was talking honestly and so on. That's sometimes you have to make this reference, not because you believe it, because to make certain...
Can I ask you, do you think we should have a political party system that is part-time?
For what I see today, yes. And part-time also relieve legislators from so-called oversight. Let me tell you, there was a time I went to River State as a former member. I went there to execute some private job, and I was going there for 2 days. When I filled the form, Honorable Sidi Ali, and brought the money, he said, oh no, hold it. I said, I want to be sure I deposit the money, I'm going to spend 2 days. He said, no, we're instructed not to collect money from you. A standing order has been given by one of the federal government parastatals in Ibadan. Any member of the house should have free this thing. I said, instead of 2 days, I did 5 days. Said, oh, I want. Well, it was when I was leaving, they discovered I was a former member. They called me. I said, no, I'm not being. An organization I will mention had already given instruction to the presidential hotel. Anybody who comes from the National Assembly, then it's part of bribe.
Did you pay your taxes all through your period?
Well, I do pay my tax. That's why I could get all the things I want. I could pay my taxes when I'm getting jobs.
But was it when you were married that you were going in and out of prison? When did you get married?
I got married long ago.
I know. And you have four wives or so?
No, 2.
2 wives?
Yes.
But 16 children?
At all every given time I live 2. Either one goes to another.
Okay, but altogether you made 16 children out of them. And you were going in and out of prison at that time. Why did you have the time?
Well, you see, you don't plan to go to prison. And some of the things you write, I don't tell you, like Obasanjo is my good friend. Before he even became head of state. Late General Murtala Muhammad was my classmate. We entered class the same day, Rufa College. Abacha was my junior. 4 years difference between me and him. And he respected me for that. Each time he saw me, there was a time I went, he was chief of army staff. He came to Abuja from Lagos. They put him in the Nakon Hotel. And I was going to doctor, then we met. He said, why did I come to say, I'm going to look for something to eat. He said, no, I have so much food in my room. People have brought different things. I should go and eat. They were going out and asked them to give me the key. But the ADC, Mustafa, refused.
Of all these leaders you have mentioned, which one of them do you have reservations about?
You see, almost all of them. Because it's just the leaders, it's the people around them. Because there's no way, let me tell you, like the case of Nkrumah I told you, a minister who is respected, at that time the minister may be chief of his area. And all of them said when he sees you, all his pain and so on has gone. Giving the impression like we are God. If you don't agree today, Mr. B will say it. Mr. C, you start believing, maybe God has adorned me with some powers. And these people know how to do it when they want to corrupt you. Not only in Nigeria, all over Africa. Mugabe, I told you, I introduced Mugabe to Kwame Nkrumah in 1958 during the All African People's Conference. Mugabe was a teacher in Kumasi, Ghana. During the Civil War, Nigeria was a front, because they were giving money to arms and so on. After independence, Mugabe came to Nigeria, one of the official visits. I saw him. At the airport when he was going, he snubbed one of our top officials. It was later when I spoke to the minister. He says, all the money you are giving us to fight, this man was taking 50%. So that was impressive. You have, like when you talk of ECOWAS, this is a problem. So these leaders, only God will save them. No matter how you do, you have people who can walk to you freely. The relationship is that.
Take me through the incidents, in the Second Republic, when you pulled a gun in the house. What could have happened? I mean,
well,
I got to understand eventually that it was a toy gun, not a serious gun.
It wasn't a toy gun, but it was so styled in order to lessen the situation. That's the truth. What happened was that there was a division, like I told you before, I think from the assessment of people, I was the best legislator. Because any issue that comes from the floor, if I sided it, because I do a lot of research, even myself sometimes I don't know how I have this thing. The argument I will put is likely to carry the day.
Or you pull a gun.
No, you can't be pulling the gun. So I discovered 2 times.
Yes.
I was sent on a delegation. Federal, they normally choose. They say, oh, you are going to America, this and that. It was later somebody told me a particular bill was coming and they were afraid not to win where I stand. So they put me and get me away because they get to. Because I will argue Even people from outside the opposition will go along with me. So at that time,
So you didn't believe in, sharing money?
I didn't know if it's even something to do. Because when we are going, Aminu cannot address us. The quoted part of Holy Quran. I will be answerable to the Almighty. So I didn't know Umar Diko was my best friend from before he became member of the house. So I'm giving you this thing. So the PRP members decided to join what they call progressive group. Probably they met in Jos on the chairmanship of Solomon La. All the governors really joined them. Say the first thing they should do is to remove the leadership of the PRP. Because at that time, House does not elect leaders. The party will say, Musa A is our this, Musa this, and the remove of the PRP. They took this decision in Jos. And then I got information because before that incident, I was slapped in the house. That's what came this. When they had that meeting, attempt was made to blackmail me. So this particular person just came, he slapped me. The idea was for us to struggle so that they can body. But then some wisdom came to me. Somebody you didn't argue with, somebody you didn't fight with, there must be something. So I ignored him and went to sleep because the house was sitting at that time. So I went there, I passed and told the speaker, it's okay, that a particular member has slapped me from Bauchi State. I want action to be taken against him. The speaker said we'll investigate. For almost 1 week, nothing has happened. And for the meantime, this middle of this thing, we are going to bring a motion to remove the leaders and produce their own leader who will follow them as against Amin Khan. And I knew they were making this. So I procured an arm. It was in my box. When I sleep, I put it. So I don't believe if you are politically, you are killed or you die, all the tribute they will pay.
Have you ever pulled the trigger?
I didn't know if I did. They say that so and so has died.
I mean, outside of the house. Have you ever
No, I never did. So this happened. So when I went to the speaker, I didn't pull because of the speaker. I told him, look, I've reported this matter to you for so and this, you didn't take action. I want you to know, I'm alone, I'm armed. And I opened and showed him. It was then he jumped and, he created this thing.
Let's take a break. Let's look at some other parts of you. You pick a question and you answer the question. You read it yourself and you answer the question.
How do I pick it?
Yeah, pick a question. Well,
this question is absolutely no.
can you answer the question? Read out the question.
Well, the question said, did you plan well for retirement and do you feel financially secured? I did not plan for retirement.
Why?
Well, I didn't know the situation keep coming. For example, when I was in the civil service, that time federal government was allocating car assembly. And the salary was a senior officer was, I think, 58,000. In a year, it's about 60,000 per annum. That was salary. Then one of the company from British Leyland came with the enticing this thing. If we work for us as a public relation, and we get this thing, will pay you £25,000 and give me 2 cars in 2 Leyland cars. It's something I could never get after working for 30 years in civil service. So I resigned and did the public relations. And one time I have to follow Adetoro, who was the minister of, because I couldn't see him in Lagos. So there was a conference of the World Trade, and he was leading Nigerian delegation. So I went to Rome. It was in Rome that we put up in the same hotel. Then he saw me wearing Nigerian dress. He says, I'm Nigerian. So what are you doing here? I said, I came to see you. Came to see me? I said, yes, because your people will not allow me to see you in Lagos. That's how British Leyland was allocated. And they paid me £25,000.
Interesting.
£25,000, let me go this thing. 100 naira out of it gave me a comfortable plot in Kano near Government House. And spent 7,000 to build a story building, everything at that time. Something which if I had stayed in civil service, I would not make it. So that's how I entered into business of public.
So what does that make you feel about the civil service?
No, well, you see, it has 2 edges.
Not much has changed since then.
Not much, no, but what has changed is that the civil servants have now power to do favors to themselves by they award everything to themselves, even on the cover of name and so on. So the civil servants now are more comfortable than those before us. There was fear of God then. People were feared to touch certain things. How they don't?
Did you at one time, I'm sure you did, you participated in the conference organized by President Jonathan?
Yes, national conference.
Yes. What was your role in that conference?
Well, number one, I was a member of if you look at the certificate, I was a member of the national conference, nominated to represent civil society. But the initiator of the conference were not honest about it. Because a conference where you have Kano with over 10 million votes, less members than Bayelsa, it was not actually arranged to succeed. And at the conference, we have various groups. The Northern group went to see the chairman of the conference, late Justice, and said, we don't want any vote to take place. Any issue that voting will come, we know we are already defeated. Because the way it was done, they've not considered less than 1/3 of the, So they agreed there will be no voting. Every issue is same. But even then, the final conference are supposed to be signed by the members. None of us were called. And when the Northern group went to the chairman of the conference, so we are not comfortable with what you say. Look, whether you like it or not, I've been given a job to do by President Jonathan, and I'll do it.
So it was really a no-show.
No-show. That's what happened.
How did you feel about that?
Well, very unhappy. Also in a separate group, like the group you see we took picture, which was headed by former Senate President from Enugu, the Senate President who did not allow Obasanjo to continue. No, Pius is huge. From Enugu. Nnamani.
Nnamani,
Yes.
okay.
Kenny Nnamani.
Yes.
He headed our group, he and the senator, We had truthful, educative, and professional medicine at the committee level.
But would you like to see another one happen?
Well, it depends. It's not the question of something happening. How are the people going to be selected for it?
How do you want it to happen?
What you want is you first in democracy, majority always carry the vote. And you don't do conference when already there is a sitting legislature. Legislature is the one that have the public needed to do it. Anything outside the legislature does not hold.
So what might be the 5 things you'd like to take away with you, take along with you to this island?
If I'm going to live, where I'm going to stay alone, I'm going to go with my family.
No, you're staying alone. You're being cast away.
Well, number one, I would like to go with my Holy Quran,
Yes.
which would be the sort of reference, this. And you see, I'm a very simple man.
Really?
Oh yes. In public life or outside public life, I behave, and I know the comment of people around me. So I think that's the only thing I would like to go with.
So what else might you go with?
Nothing.
Nothing. You don't want water?
The water, that's where you cannot be in a place where there's no water. Okay, that's water, that's food.
Do you enjoy music?
I used to.
What happened?
Well, now
It became too loud.
Now I'm old, but I don't listen to this thing.
No. There must be some form of music you enjoy.
Why you don't have them anymore? See, when I tell you like music like in 1960.
When you were a boy.
Or 59, yeah.
What kind of music were you listening to?
This famous Yoruba musician, what do you call him? He goes around, very music.
Ebenezer Obey?
No.
Sunny Ade?
No, these are new modern. Somebody before them. Haruna Shola.
Really?
Yes, when Haruna Shola is playing music, at that time he has no car. People will follow him almost from Surulere to Victoria Island on foot. They are not even feeling they are walking.
Were you one of them?
I was not one of them. I enjoyed the music.
Okay.
Although he spoke, he sang the song, I enjoyed it very much.
So would it be something you'd like to take along with you to the island?
Oh, yes.
Okay. What about food?
Food, I eat every food.
What kind of food do you enjoy eating? I mean, if somebody were to prepare you your best meal, what would it be?
Well, number one, I like pounded yam.
You do?
Yes. But now, even today, what I ate was amala. We went all the way to buy it from the famous amala joint.
Really?
Yes.
So you eat pounded yam, you eat amala.
Yes.
What about fura?
No, I hardly take it, but I like it.
Okay.
Or sometimes when I see them, because now the fura has been corrupted. The fura used to be made with the nono from the cow. Now they buy something like yogurt in the mix, and then so you don't get fura anymore, as it's supposed to be.
You are 82 years old.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you became 82 in a couple of days back. Did you surprise yourself, or did you feel surprised that you got to this age?
No, but what I do is, I sit down and reflect. I'm now the oldest member in my family. Before then, I had 5 elders. 3 male, 4 elders, 3 male, 1 female. They've all gone. I have 2 children who have also gone. Brothers, they have gone. And then I sat down and looked when we entered elementary school.
And commiserations, to you for the death of Ali Funtua.
It's I'm giving you, so out of 44 of us that entered elementary school, now only 3 of us are alive. After I got my study from America and came back and started working in Kaduna, We had almost a club. Late Justice Bello, out of them, only 2 of us are alive. Myself and 1 district head in Katsina. So when you look at all these things, you leave everything to God.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well, I don't know how I like. The way people remember, they think they remember me, because whatever you do, it has 2 sides. There are one side who believe you have done good, and the side who are not happy with that.
But there will always, somebody who thinks that, you were a great politician, were you not?
I don't know. I'm not a great politician, because when I contested, I could have gone to Senate instead of House of Reps. But the party leadership said, no, this we want you in the House of Reps. So I went.
Do you think you'll be remembered as the only senator ever to pull a gun in the House?
Well, I don't know whether it was something that to be remembered for. But I know I made a lot of contribution. Made a lot of contribution. Would you mind if I tell you, in one of our travels, a senator stole? A member of the senator stole. When we went to the supermarket, he carried this, he carried this, he carried this. When he came to pay, the system there is they don't collect. When you give them the card, they put it in the machine. But he was on the impression that in Nigeria why you try it. So when we came out, he got out with it. So he thought, so he went back to collect the same thing and brought it. When he gave you the paper, he said, no, this has been paid for. Bring the new one.
He was dishonest.
He was a thief. So when we came out, I said, Senator, we arrived in Lagos on Wednesday. You resign the next day. If you do not resign, I will expose you. You have disgraced us. You can't do anything. That thing didn't happen in Nigeria. I can take you for libel. I said, no, I won't say it outside. I'll say it in the house. Anything you say in the house, you are under protection. When we came, he came down and fell down, holding my leg. I beg you. I said, no, better resign. If you don't resign between now and this thing, I'm going to announce it in the house.
You would obviously be remembered for that.
So you resign.
As the man who stood by his words.
Well, I tried.
Honorable Sidi H. Ali, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed every bit of the historical perspective you gave on this program. Thank you so much.
Also, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It's been Honorable Sidi H. Ali, one of the most controversial politicians of this area. On the program, The Chat. I'm Manny. See you next time.